Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to learn about companion planting. So I'd like to welcome you to my vegetable garden. Now first I want to preface this video by saying that I am not an expert in companion planting, but it is something that we try to embrace here on the homestead because there's lots of really great reasons why you want to incorporate companion planting in your vegetable garden. For some great resources, I would recommend the book Carrots Love Tomatoes, and I'm going to post a link to that below. I would also highly recommend getting Clyde's Garden Planner. So if the book is just not in the budget right now, Clyde's Garden Planner is inexpensive, and it'll also have some companion planting information in it as well. So one of the main reasons we like to utilize companion planting is because we don't use any chemicals, fungicides, pesticides, sprays of any kind on our homestead. And so what we do instead is we pair plants together that naturally help to repel pests and also increase yield. So the garden box that I'm over at right now is where we have most of our cabbages growing. And one of our favorite companion plants, especially for the cabbage family, are onions. So interdispersed amongst our cabbages, and I'll pick up the camera afterwards and give you a close look, we have our onion seedlings. We also have them planted around our kohlrabi. So that's another great way to pair onions with anything in the brassica family. So in the next bed here we have our broccolis, and one of the things that we really like to grow with broccoli is dill. So unfortunately I completely blanked and totally forgot to start all of our dill plants this year. So what I've done instead is I've sprinkled dill seeds all throughout the broccoli. So the hope is that this is going to help deter things. They do germinate fairly quickly, and that's going to help to deter things like cabbage moths, which is a really big problem where we are. We're actually surrounded by hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of acres of cabbage farms, and because they spray their crops so highly, all the cabbage worms and cabbage moths like to find their way to our property. So I'd like to acknowledge my son, who is my cameraman today. I wasn't able to film this weekend, and so he has been a huge help. So big thank you to him. He's only 8 years old, and I think he's doing a great job. So another really great pairing. So where we are right now is our perennial beds. And so in these beds, we have asparagus, which we planted 3 years ago. We have strawberries that come up. We have rhubarb. And one of the things that really likes to pair nicely with strawberries is spinach. So this year we decided to sow all of our spinach in between our strawberry plants. So as I mentioned, onions are one of our favorite companion plants. So over in the back corner here, we've got all of our onion sets, and they pair really nicely with beets, which we sowed probably a couple of weeks ago, and the seedlings are just starting to come up. And right in front of the beets, we have our kohlrabi. So we've got multiple companions all working together, hopefully to provide a great growing system. So in these teepee style trellises, we like to grow our climbing crops, and we grow indeterminate tomatoes here on our homestead. So at least 2 of these teepees will house tomatoes. One of the things that we really like to pair with tomatoes are marigolds. So I highly recommend you start adding flowers into your garden. Marigolds are one of our favorite flowers for companion plants because they repel so many things, and they add such a beautiful pop of color. So we'll put them in between our eggplants and our peppers. What else pairs really nicely with tomatoes is chamomile. And also I want you to think about all of those Mediterranean flavors. So things like rosemary, thyme, oregano, and basil also pair really well with your tomato plants. I had to get out of that sun. It's actually been really, really warm here, which is nice. It means we don't have to deal with firewood anymore. So this is the book that I was talking about. I strongly recommend you get it if you can. She also wrote another book, and I can't remember what it was called. Roses Love Garlic. Roses Love Garlic. All right, so thank you to my son, yet again, the most amazing cameraman ever. So one of the things that I want to talk about are flowers. I mentioned marigolds in the previous segment, but another one that we really love to grow are nasturtiums. We actually really like to grow flowers that are also edible, so we can add them to our salads for a punch of color. Now, nasturtiums are fantastic with many crops, but one of the things we're going to do this year is plant them with our zucchinis. We have, like our summer squash, we have a really big problem with cucumber beetles and squash beetles here. So we're hoping that the nasturtiums will help to repel them. So what I'm going to do is plant those seeds probably today or tomorrow, and then in a couple weeks when we're finally ready to get our actual cucumber plants in the ground, hopefully they will have sprouted. One thing that we also like to pair with our cucumbers are bush beans, and you can actually grow them because we use, again, that TP trellis. We'll actually grow the bush beans underneath inside the TP, and they work really well together. Other flowers that we like to grow are sunflowers, painted daisies, and this year we're even adding in some cornflowers. So I hope you enjoyed this really brief introduction to companion planting, and I hope that it's inspired you to continue your research. Like I said, this is a very large subject that can't really be covered in one single video. I mean, just this book alone has over 200 pages. Again, Clyde's garden calendar is fantastic, or garden planner, sorry, is really great for helping you know when to put plants and seeds in. But then on the side, it also has a list of companion plants that work well with those crops. So that's another great resource. Plus, there are tons of resources available online and on websites. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave those below. If you have any suggestions for video topics that you'd like me to cover, also comment below. And until next time, this is Correne from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health, wellness, and happy gardening.